Well, certainly they're significant. This is the first time Pope Francis has been directly implicated in covering up sexual abuse claims. As we know, that's been the modus operandi of the Catholic Church for decades now, to cover up rather than to work alongside state authorities, depending what jurisdiction they're in. But then you have to hear from some of Pope Francis's supporters who say that this 7,000-word statement was deliberately timed to thwart what was already an uphill battle for Pope Francis in Ireland. This is the first, as we know, the papal visit since 1979, and Ireland's Catholic Church has been racked by serious evidence of sexual abuse for decades in this country. So a lot of people saying now that it won't really hurt Pope Francis. They may be very serious, but the idea that he could possibly resign is quite far-fetched.
So your description there of the Pope's visit is an uphill battle for Pope Francis. I mean, obviously you've been there in Dublin, you've been witnessing all of it unfold. What is your take on the visit?
I think that having spoken to abuse survivors over the past couple of days, a lot of them are quite disappointed that Pope Francis didn't go any further in relation to say how the Vatican would release documentation about what it exactly knows in relation to sexual abuse in Ireland and globally, and that he didn't talk about further action in relation to protecting minors, and that he didn't, although he begged for forgiveness on several occasions throughout the weekend, he didn't actually apologise for the Church's role in serious abuse in this country. And we still have further revelations to come out. Next year, we're going to have a commission report into the mother and baby homes in this country, which were places where single mothers were incarcerated and their babies forcibly adopted by the Catholic Church abroad. And since the 90s, Ireland has had abuse revelation after abuse revelation, and very little has been done from the Catholic Church. That was one of the calls by the Taoiseach, the Irish Prime Minister, this weekend. He defended the modernisation of Irish laws in relation to LGBT rights and divorce and abortion, but he also called for actions as well as words. And unfortunately, there's been a real deficit of action, and that's really quite a consensus amongst abuse survivors. Similarly, if you look at the crowds, there were about 130,000 people who turned up to the Mass in Ireland's largest park yesterday. There was an estimation that 500,000 would turn up. Now, having said that, the weather was pretty bad, so that would have kept a lot of people away. But if you compare that to 1979 and Pope John Paul II's visit, where over 1 million people turned up, you can see that the Catholic Church in Ireland is really at its lowest ebb.